Good afternoon, my name is Lisbeth Salgado Perez, and we're going to talk about chapter number 1 that is related to teaching reading. Okay, reading is one of the basic skills we work with as an English second language teacher. We can say that we read for pleasure and for information, but in this case of teaching, the books we use in a common English class are designed by following a syllabus or curriculum, but generally they do not match with the real life of students. According to Grinnell, effective reader means being able to read accurately and efficiently and to be able to understand as much as a passage as you can need in order to achieve your purpose, while Francois Grelt underlined that a balance should be struck between leaving the students without any help in the other hand and on the other hand squeezing the text dry. He also lists a number of reading we are exposed to like novels, poems, recipes, etc. But he has in mind the extent content we can find in internet nowadays. We're going to abord the principles about this chapter. Okay, the first principle is the traditional approach. David Dunant summed that it has been realized that there never was and probably never will be a method for all. And I completely agree with that because as a teacher we have been using text as a tool to introduce a new vocabulary and structure, and it doesn't mean we are wrong. Generally talking, we choose a text that have a frequently exhibition of particular structure or vocabulary and use it to expose to students. Here comes the distinction between usage and use. Usage is the extent to which the language user demonstrates knowledge of linguistics, and the definition of use is the extent to which these rules are used for effective communication. The important here is to regard the objectives for reading and language courses and appreciate the limitation of the methods. This is the first principle. The second principle is authenticity. Authenticity, the definition that most language readers accept is that authentic texts are samples of language used by or for native speakers. This is according to Tony Lynch. The keywords we will mention here are genuineness, authenticity, and text simplification. We doesn't make this distinction. If we talk about genuineness, we can say that is the characteristic of the text itself and is an absolute quality. On the other hand, authenticity refers to the relation between the passage and the reader and the appropriate responses. And finally, we can say that reading authentic text is not always the complexity nor the activity that is required to the student. The principle number 3 is types of question. It's very common to answer questions after a reading in a context of classroom activities, but done in a normal life. Greller states that there are few cases in real life when we do not talk or write about what we have read. That is one of the points about reading activities. On the other side, we don't divide questions in 4 types. Number 1, WH questions. Number 2, polar questions. Number 3, through assessment. And number 4, multiple choice. The fourth principle in this chapter is a top-down, bottom-up approach. What are, in general, I will give the definition of these two, okay? Top-down strategies use macro levels cues to decode a text in order to acquire a more global understanding of its contents. These cues might include considering the layout of the text, making hypotheses, and anticipating content on the text, while bottom-up strategies involve the decodifying of a passages step by step from small textual elements like words or phrases. I think that the top-down strategies are more general, including all the aspects of the reading, and the bottom-up strategies is like to put all the phrases in separate ways and then integrate all this to have the complete reading. Okay, this is in principle number 4. The principle number 5 is an active process. Reading is a constant process of guessing, hypothesizing, anticipating, confirming, and predicting, in which the knowledge one brings to the text is often more important than that what one's find in it. We'll summarize in this way the process of reading. A study of the layout, making hypotheses, anticipating to confirm the hypothesis according to what we know, skimming, confirmation or revision of one's guessing, further predictions, and second reading for more details. Reading is also seen as a cooperative learning which emphasizes the sharing of knowledge in groups within the classroom setting so that strong, more able students assist their weak classmates. Always interaction is going to be a factor to make strong the knowledge. Okay, and finally with this we finish the principles and we start a list of the activities. The first activity mentioned here is extracting main ideas, that is equal to skimming or is knowing like skimming. And second is reading for specific information or scanning. Next, understanding text organization. It means how sentences are joined, predicting, checking comprehension, inferring, dealing with unfamiliar words, linking ideas, understanding complete sentences, understanding a writer style, evaluating the text, reacting to the text, and finally writing a summary. At this point, we have the summarize of the chapter. Now I'm going to explain a little briefly. I'm going to explain how to get a lesson plan of a reading lesson plan. Okay, it is divided in 4 steps. The first one is the warm-up, second one is the pre-task, number 3 while task, and finally the post-task. Okay, in this lesson plan I'm going to present a reading called street dancing, past and present. Okay, in the warm-up I'm going to do two activities. The first one is present the title. Okay, put the title street dancing, past and present. Okay, and I'm going to ask students if they understand the title and what do they think we're going to talk about. Okay, we're going to have we're going to make get some ideas about their background knowledge they have, and it's going to take 5 minutes. Okay, then we're going with the pre-task. And here we're going to have 2 activities. Number 1, show students some pictures related with the reading. They will mention what would be the possible elements to talk about in this according to what they see on pictures or extra information they have. And then ask students where else can we find more information about this topic. It's going to take 8 minutes. In step number 3 is the wild task. In the wild task, we're going to have 4 different activities. Activity number 1 is read the text, then match the main idea to each paragraph. Match the paragraph with the main ideas of the subtitles. It's going to take 10 minutes. Okay, the second point is going to be that students will compare with a partner and we will check together. They will compare their answers they have with a partner first, and then we're going to check together, okay? Because in this way they can have the opportunity to correct or check why the other student assimilate information different. In point number 3, they're going to have a second reading to find a specific information. Then they will discuss about this information, answering some WH questions. It's going to take 12 minutes. And finally, students will work in pair to discuss their answers. Okay, and it's going to take 5 more minutes. At the end, we're going to answer or give some answers all together in the class. And finally, the post task. In pairs, students, we're going to make 2 activities. The first one is, in pairs, students will write 5 more questions about what else they would like to know about this topic. I'm going to give you 10 minutes, and finally they're going to present the questions to the teacher to be revised, and give some feedback about the well writing of the questions, and in this way they can investigate more information about the topic.